Today we're going to talk about Gurptuk Mossbeard. Hey, welcome! I'm LeilaFox. Today's lore story video is going to be for Gurptuk Mossbeard. Gurptuk is a legendary Ogryn champion in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, before we get to his story, let's check out the Ogryn lore faction as a whole. Subhuman giants with prodigious bellies and brawn, Ogryns are nonetheless sluggish, dumb brutes, prone to servitude. Yet these terrifying great oafs often prove that brute force and ignorance will often win the day. Together with the Skinwalkers, they control Felwyn's Gate, entry to the Kingdom of Aravia. Let's get into the lore story for Gurptuk from the Tolarian Lore Book of Champions. The Durham Forest is a place of ancient magic and mystery, where many dangers await the unwary who venture beyond its borders. Vicious predators and man-eating monsters lurk in the perpetual dusk that shrouds Durham. Ruthless dark elves prey on travelers, and vile undead abominations make their dens in the twisted thickets. But there is a clearing at the very heart of the forest where a single old hut stands. Neither beast nor elf dare stray close to it, for they know the master of that place has little patience for unbidden guests and power enough to make sure the transgressions are punished in full. No one, not even the elder sovereigns of the Dark Elves, knows when and how Gurptuk the Mossbeard came to be in Durham. He simply was, for as long as anyone can remember, making a living in the depths of the woods. Dozens of wild tales and myths surround his figure. Some claim Gurptuk is, in fact, a fae, a guardian of nature and the true master of Durham. Others believe he is a mad old shaman who made a pact with dark forces to grant him immortality in exchange for terrible sacrifices he must perform. Whatever the case might be, Mossbeard holds the distinct appearance of an Ogryn, albeit the bizarre wooden armor and amulets he carries may explain why he is mistaken for a forest spirit. His behavior, too, does not fit a singular pattern, and while some speak of the Mossbeard helping lost travelers find their way back to the true and beaten paths, others recount blood-chilling stories of people butchered and used for unknown dark purposes. But there are those bold or foolish enough to seek Gurptuk out, for he is said to be a witch doctor of immense power, and his knowledge of poisons is almost without equal. Once an ambitious group of dark elf assassins sought to rid their kin of such a troublesome neighbor, and win glory for themselves along the way. They observed the Mossbeard from afar, scheming and plotting to waylay him. When they struck, they did so with ruthless cunning and swiftness, firing poisoned arrows at the old druid in hopes of weakening him. But something went wrong. Although Gurptuk suffered many wounds, he did not fall as the would-be assassins expected, nor even stumble. Instead, he laughed. And while the attackers watched in horror, he stood tall and proud, a cloud of noxious spores rising from the mushroom growths that covered his body. Despite the poison coursing through his veins, despite the arrows in his limbs and back, Gurptuk the Mossbeard strode forth and chanted in a tongue unheard, his staff sending bolts of arcane energy that burned through armor and flesh alike. The assassins turned to flee, but there was nowhere to run or hide from Gurptuk's vengeance. One by one they fell, and exactly what painful fate had befallen them is unknown. After that night, a row of fresh skulls could be seen decorating the fence that surrounded his hut. With no survivors to tell the tale, rumors and assumptions spread like wildfire, and Mossbeard's fearsome reputation grew. Now, even the most ambitious dark elf warrior knows to leave the druid well alone. Alright, so that was the lore story for Gurptuk Mossbeard. And I don't know about you, but the first thing I always think of when I see Gurptuk, probably because I played a lot of World of Warcraft, is he reminds me so much of Gul'dan. Not necessarily just the looks and the staff that he carries, but even how they talk about in the story, about poisons and death, and just, about the whole part about skulls, and all of that just reminds me so much of something that they would have done with Gul'dan in World of Warcraft. And I do find it interesting how in the Ogren lore, they talk about Ogrens are sluggish, dumb brutes. And with Gurptuk, we find that not to be the case. He seems to be quite intelligent. And it seems as if there's so many different legends and stories about him that nobody really knows. They don't know where he came from. They don't know who he is. They don't know if he's helpful or if he's harmful. He's just there. They don't really know. Some suspect that he's a fae, a guardian of the forest. Others just know that he's an Ogren. So it's very interesting how they centered his lore kind of around something like of a legend. How it's not really certain who or where he came from, but they know that he's there. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you think of for the story for Gurptuk Mossbeard. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, check out some more videos up here in the playlist on the top right.